Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. This is LoveBabz, LoveTalk. It is Wednesday. Hey, when you have a holiday, it just throws you off. Just bumps all the days. And then one day runs into another. Oh, uh, so Harry had a power outage in Waterbury because Waterbury is like a basin. And whenever there's bad weather through the state, Waterbury catches it. I mean, they just catch it. So anyway, um, so his power came back on. So now he's got to figure out how to get everything back and running. Because normally, lately, well, the last couple of weeks, he's been trekking to New Haven to run the shows from New Haven. So we probably won't see him again for a bit. I do have a guest at 10:15. I had him on before, Monty. Let's see, what is his name? I gotta get his name right. Because he's gonna talk about Monty Frank. He comes on at 10:15. So we're gonna talk about ranked choice voting, specifically New York's, because brother won in New York, the primary, and then I guess Harry, just if you're listening, the Sliwa guy is running on the Republican ticket. They must be desperate AF in New York for Republican candidates or something. They got Curtis Sliwa from the Guardian Angels, and then they turned out to be a little bit racist. Perhaps they were always racist. I don't know, but the rhetoric that he's been spouting the last several years, everybody's like, what? So I don't know. This Republican Party, they need an identity makeover. That. But anyway, Monty Frank is going to come on and talk about ranked choice voting. And listen, that system is not without its problems because they had problems. So, but I know everybody was paying attention to it because they're one of the few places that tried it. So people were paying attention and watching. So he's going to come on and talk about that, the primary, and who won and why they won and the hiccups with that. And do we still think that's a good Eric Adams? And I believe he was a former police high up. 118,000 absentee ballots. Telling you, I see why people want to shut down absentee ballots. I see it. Well, not people, Republicans. So anyway, Eric Adams, he's got that story, rose from poverty, became police captain, borough president of Brooklyn. So he's got some experience in the game. He knows the landscape, and apparently well liked. So, and in New York, like any other place, lots of shootings, spikes in shootings, crime, that kind of thing. He had an 8,400 vote over Catherine Garcia. And it was a small enough, I guess that's enough votes where, you could question the counting. You could contest the results. But I don't think they did. And then they got to certify, but he won. So Garcia, Maya Wiley, former counsel to Bill de Blasio, finished in third place. Offered her a concession on Tuesday. So, okay, so people are out there. I mean, it was a race to watch. And I guess there were 13 candidates. Wow. So 13 candidates whittled down one by one, with the candidate with the fewest first place votes eliminated. Those votes were redistributed to the voters' next ranked choice. Okay. 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 So this is interesting. So people paying attention. Anyway, so Monty Frank is gonna come on at 10:15, and we're gonna really talk about this, and he's gonna walk us through this. Um, Mr. Adams, I guess from what this article says, he cast himself as a blue collar candidate. He led in every borough except Manhattan in the tally of first choice votes and was a strong favorite among working class Black and Latino voters. He also demonstrated strength with white voters who held more moderate views, especially some data suggests among those voters who did not have college degrees. So a coalition has been likened to the one that propelled President Biden to the Democratic nomination in 2020. So Ms. Garcia, a former sanitation commissioner, ran on a message of technocratic competence, was popular with white moderate voters across the 5 boroughs, but she was overwhelmingly the candidate of Manhattan, dominating in some of the wealthiest zip codes in the country. She appealed to the highly educated and more affluent voters across the ideological spectrum and in parts of brownstone Brooklyn, even as she struggled to connect with voters of color elsewhere in the kinds of numbers it would have taken to win. Yeah, you can't just go with the affluence, baby. Ain't that many of them. Ain't that many. You gotta go with the peoples. Can't go with the peoples. Oh boy. Uh, so I guess Mr. Adams had a residency question. Um, and then he had, he took people on a tour of his Brooklyn apartment where he says he lives. Uh, okay. Well, what are you gonna do? Let you follow him around, see where he goes. So yeah, I'm interested in having that conversation. Today, here in New Haven, pop up Arts Council, the pop up concerts, pop up activities on the green, starting today at noon. Which I don't know how well that's going to go over with this weather looking all crazy, um, but we're gonna do it. So pop up performances. Uh, when do they start? Ooh, they start Fridays at noon on the New Haven Green. So it's not today. Not today. Friday at 12 noon. I think it's going to be raining. July 9th. What is today? Yes. So July 9th, uh, Bragamos Community Theater is Rafael Ramos and Alexis Robbins, which is my tap dancing teacher. So they're going to be on the green doing their thing. So if you have time, you're on lunch, and you want to get outside, Friday might be the way to go. Although Elsa, not the Elsa from Let It Go, Elsa the storm coming up through Florida, might be here Thursday, Friday. Leaving a little rain. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see what else. Let me see what else is going on. I know the storm coming through, creating havoc, and those poor people that are doing that work on that building in Florida. Now they got to contend with damn storm on top of the stress of finding bodies and digging through the rubble, and that's got to be, I don't care how many times you change out people or whatever. That's got to be daunting. Like, that's got to be spirit breaking. And I thought about this a lot the other day, particularly when I was just standing still and watching, when I was just sitting and watching how they are removing this rubble bucket by bucket, right? Like, people have to physically bucket it. Physically, like, people are bending over, scooping rubble into a bucket and then passing it on so it could get thrown in the truck. I'm like, that's got to be hard because you're finding people's jewelry and personal items and furniture and papers and just things, right? And then they found a bunch more bodies. I mean, it's just that can't be easy. That just can't be easy. And so I think about that, and it gives me pause. Especially when I want to just glance over it, I have to think about these people are really doing something. And that's the only way you can do it, right? Slow and steady, and just a lot. And it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. So yeah, be mindful when you watch that stuff that there are people out there doing this work and doing it with so much effort, so much care, just a lot. So let me shout out Candy. It's like candy. So uh, my girlfriend Ife's best friend, bestie from New York, from her New York days, who we went to the OB&B with, listens in New York. So thanks, Candy, for listening. I'm shouting you out this morning, girl. Candy, Candy. So yeah, I thought I'd shout her out. And my friend Bet is back in Seattle proper. They did a whirlwind tour of the East Coast because her husband works for sports outlet. So he was here covering the golf tournament for his network. So he was here. So I didn't get to see Doug, but I got to spend some time with Bet, and we took a porch picture. She got to hang out on the porch. And she brought a couple of her girlfriends over. So we had a wonderful. That was like a couple of weekends ago. So she came and hung out. It was really, really nice to see her and her girlfriends. And then my sister came up. So it was just like old times. We had a good time. We had a really, really good time. Drank some wine, talked some ish, and oh boy, dear. So I'm reading the Washington Post this morning. Haiti's president assassinated in his home, officials say. President Jovenel Moise was killed and his wife wounded by unidentified assailants, some of whom spoke Spanish, according to interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph. Whew. The world is just, I don't know what to make of this. And now, I don't know if people have been paying attention, but we have a ransomware problem where I'm gonna just call it Russians are attacking our IT systems all across the country and holding them hostage for ransom. If you want your IT back, pay us. So that means now all these companies, every company, even everyday Americans, need to step up their security, their digital security, because this is becoming a problem. I mean, they've already hacked into all kinds of systems that control things. I mean, we saw the oil thing. I mean, we've got water systems, we got rail systems, we got hospitals, we've just got systems. And President Biden had said companies got to do a better job of stepping up their IT security. Because when they did this little scope of study, they come to find out these companies are just they got like one word passwords and stuff. Like, no, you can't just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You got to come up with some scrambling. Yeah. So, they're not, well, they know it's Russians, they just can't say it publicly exactly. But 1,500 companies in the United States, Europe, and Asia, uh, they gotta deal with this. Like this is, damn a war, like a physical war on the ground with guns and tanks. This is where the wars are going to be fought on the internet, on the digital highway, on the digital landscape, on the digital planes. That's the real where the fight's going to be, because if they can take over your systems and you can't access them and get back in and wrestle it back, and you got to pay all this money to get your stuff back, and who's to say when you get your stuff back they didn't leave some kind of back door so they can come back and do it again? Because greed is greed is greed. It's not hit and run. Hit, come back, hit, come back. Crazy. So yeah, I think companies have to spend the money. Spend the money, get that high tech security, and shore up your stuff. Because these folks, they're not going to stop. We see them, and all these social media sites got to do a better job too of shutting down this foolishness, right? Because it made no sense when you hear that they trolled Americans. They put up so much propaganda swaying Americans' votes. It's just ridiculous how easily led, we are on these internets. And the internet, the digital highway is lawlessness. They're trying to put some laws in now, but it's like the wild, wild west out there. I mean, so now you got to step in and put in rules, regulations, as if, how you do, how you do when you walk the streets. Got to put police out there, right? You got to put, marker. I mean, you got to do all these things to make it safe, because kids, elderly, people are taken advantage of. People are lured. People are tapped by, their accounts are tapped. So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, Biden, one more thing on your plate. You want to be president? Well, this is what it means. And you want to be president in this new millennium? Well, this is what's required, you know. So, so yeah. And I hope he's got some young people sitting around the table advising him about this. Not these old cats who don't even know how to use social media, talking about it's not that bad. Nope. 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 Uh, nope. So yeah. So they gotta step up their game. And I'm sure the bigger companies now are like, who's on the street we need to get in here to help us with our IT security? Because what you need is an old school hacker. Give them a lot of money and let them shore up your IT situations. Just saying, give them a lot of money, some ridiculous amount of money, so that they feel like you pay for their brain power, and allow them to fix your IT mess. Saying, uh, yeah. So, whew, oh boy, journalism is a dangerous game, man. So I'm still reading the Wall Street Journal. I mean, the Washington Post. I'm sorry. And a Dutch journalist exposed the mob and defied death threats. Now he's been shot in the head. The mob is still with us. The mob, the mob didn't go away because Martin Scorsese stopped making films about them. They are still doing mob things. They're still out here. They're still out here running numbers, pimps, women, drugs, cartel. I mean, they're still out here. So, and this is in Amsterdam. Uh, uh, Peter R. Uh, DeVries stepped out of his studio and into the busy downtown streets. Decades of investigating cold case killings and mob hits had earned him the silver-haired 64-year-old accolades and reputation as one of the most famous journalists in the Netherlands. Now, he really should have just quit then. His career in crime reporting had almost earned him had also earned him death threats. But friends said he laughed off the danger, claiming recently that the last time he was scared was as a schoolboy. Well, shortly after leaving the TV studio on Tuesday, he was shot, like in public. Whew. He was seriously wounded and fighting for his life. So he's not dead, but I think if I were him, I'd give this up and go live somewhere else for a while. Okay, so a 35-year-old Polish national and a 21-year-old from Rotterdam are in custody. Now, apparently, he's been advising a key witness in a high-profile trial of an alleged leader of a gang that that the authorities have called an oiled killing machine. Yikes. So, the Netherlands has one of the lowest violent crime rates in Europe, but its long shoreline, numerous ports, and excellent infrastructure have made it a major hub for drug trafficking, according to Interpol. I mean, a lot going on, but I hope he pulls through. But and I'm not telling anybody to run from nothing, but it's time for you to turn this over to other people. So if you get shot in the head and you come through this, it's time for you to hang up put your notebook away and live out the rest of your life in some peace. Because as long as you on the case and they know you on the case, they're gonna come for you. And I'm not suggesting you run. You've done some good work. Done a lot of good work. That's all I'm saying. Done some good work. Now it's time for you to go somewhere and sit down. Live out your days. I don't know how well you're gonna live them out with a gunshot wound to the head. But people, listen, people survive it. Listen, Miss Gifford survived it. So can you. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Mindful. Just be mindful. So yeah, there's a lot of dust up about Lovecraft Country not coming back, not renewing it. Now, I don't know what Netflix is doing. I would, or whoever Lovecraft Country is on, I would think that they want that audience. But from what I understand, the second season was all about very blackety black power kind of, and they wasn't feeling it. So I don't know what to make of it. They're gonna have to reckon with this and speak truthfully about why they didn't want to turn this show. I mean, it's a show. I mean, it's a show. So you're saying this show has enough power to what? So I'm just baffled by it, and so is everybody else. Because I mean, that show was really high rated. High rated. So so this brings me back to my thinking. So when a show is high rated, sponsors, people watching consistently, the numbers grow. What is the responsibility of the entity that puts it on to keep it going? Because they yank shows off all the time for poor ratings. But how do you keep a show with good ratings? How do you determine, like, what is it about the subject matter that's so egregious to you that you must uh, take it off. I, I don't know. But I'm telling you, I say this because I started watching Manifest, which I believe was a NBC show. It was a network show, but it went over to Netflix to be streamed, like 3 or 4 seasons. And it went over to Netflix because the network decided they're not going to make they're not going to invest anymore. They're pulling it. And then they sent word that they will do a little movie to tie up the loose ends. But it's the number one streaming thing on Netflix. And when you're number one, that means you got a lot of people watching this thing consistently. So what is a streaming service to do? Do they throw their money behind that? Um, um, do they throw their money behind it, or what do they do? See, this is fascinating because this is television's new frontier. I think this streaming movie hybrid kind of thing, which is not going to go anywhere. Like people go to the movies, but people also like streaming the movies at their house. First run. Uh, so I'm just interested in how this is all going to play out and how are these decisions made, right? I mean, because they pull shows that they swear are not getting ratings, right? People are not watching, blah 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 blah. They pull them, and they pulled some really good shows over the years. And by that I mean all the networks, all of ABC, CBS, NBC, DW, blah 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 blah, all of them. But here comes streaming that picks up these shows, you know. And there have been times when they've now you have shows that don't even go to networks. They go right to streaming, right to a streaming outlet, you know, like Underground, the Colton Whitehead book about Underground Railroad. That didn't come to the network. That they didn't go on any network. It went right to streaming. You gotta you could binge it. I did. It was good. Yeah. But there's a lot of shows that are doing that now. Like go I just go to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime. I can just binge the whole season. I don't have to wait week after week for the episode. Now, just saying. And it's just baffling to me that Lovecraft Country now is in this crazy controversial thing. And now and now there's petitions, petitions, right? Like, don't do, bring the show back. And the writer of the show, the creator of the show, she's already, I think her name is Miss Green. She's already at the same time they were saying they're not going to renew the show. She released something about what the next season was going to look like. Ooh. So I liken it to how they did The Wire. When they did The Wire, remember The Wire? Y'all remember The Wire. Everybody remember The Wire. When we were watching The Wire, one season it was about one thing, the next season was about some other thing, the third season was about some other thing. Like each season was about, but it was all connected. It was all about drug dealing at and all the levels and where drug dealing happens. The whole system, from the street stuff to grifting to police stuff to politicians. I mean, it was just, whoo, it was everywhere. So that's how I think of Lovecraft Country with with the way that she laid out, the next season with the diagram and the whole nine. I was like, what? But I know why people got upset because there was a whole piece of these United States that was about the United Black States or something, and it was in the South. Ah, yeah, baby, got people worked the hell up. That's what it was. And people who know we can't do that. So I'm just, I'm just interested in how they yank shows. Um, you know, how do you do it? How do you do it when you've got a built-in audience? That's all I'm saying. That's what inquiring minds want to know. I'm an inquiring mind. I just want to know. So now it makes me suspect about when they yank shows. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, are they really yanking shows because um, the ratings? Are they just ranking shows because they just don't dig them anymore? That's my point. Now I have to think about this differently every time I see them when they don't renew shows. You know? And particularly when you follow a show, and then you think everybody's watching it because people are talking about it, and then they pull it. You're like, uh, no, 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 weird. I gotta think about this a little bit. I gotta pay. I'm gonna follow it. I'm definitely gonna follow along and see what happens. Now, the other T, which I'm very happy about, which which I I love this so much. I've been paying attention to this, and when it was all going down, I was hoping like, what? Damn them. So y'all know, um, Miss Hannah Jones, 1619 Project, Pulitzer Prize, the whole nine, MacArthur Fellow. He was going for some tenure at UNC, right? I believe that was her alma mater too. So there's some there's some honor to that. And where you went to school, that's kind of cool. Well, these clowns listen to their Republican crazy people, particularly one in particular, who gave a lot of money to the school, right? Power influence, who said, "Oh, you know what? I don't think she's right," or to that effect. He didn't really say. He's trying to say he didn't really say he has no say in how the school hires and gives tenure, but apparently he does because they decided to shelve her tenure application, and then didn't give her a decent explanation as to why. Just like we're just gonna, and then they wanted her to continue to teach without being considered for tenure. Now, I don't know what year they think this is, what day they think this is, or these new black women going to tolerate their foolishness. So she was very quiet. She was just like, all right, I'm gonna be behind the scenes doing what I gotta do. Because these mofos, I'm not playing with them. And so people were up in arms. The faculty wrote letters, people wrote letters, it became a very public thing. And then they go back to their huddle, UNC. They go back to their huddle and say, you know what? We're going to grant you tenure. After this very public, humiliating thing, oh, Negro, we're going to give you tenure. And she was like, next thing you know, she don't say nothing. She goes on Gayle King's show, has a conversation. Next thing you know, you see the press release. Her and Ta-Nehisi Coates, we're going to Howard. Bingo! We're going to take our talents to Howard University, the Mecca. We're going to take our talents and skill set there, and we're going to teach Black journalism and Black journalists. How you like me now? And so now UNC got egg and doo-doo on their face because they look like fools. They literally look like fools. So now they got to explain, and I don't know how they can, other than come out and say, you know what, we were racist and we listened to racists. That's the only way they can clear this up. We listened to racists because we are racist. We were being racist. I don't care how many other Black people they hired prior to her. They were being racist. And this woman comes with a Pulitzer Prize, and a MacArthur Fellow. Who else on your faculty got that? I'm sorry, who? Tell me again. Who on that faculty has that? A MacArthur Foundation Fellow and a Pulitzer? Who? Who on your faculty got that kind of cachet? And public, I'm just, help me out. Help me out, UNC. Help me out. Help me out. Help me understand the foolishness. So off to Howard they go. And it was a joint release. Because you know what? You ain't playing with these hoes no more. We are not. I was so proud because I was like, when I saw they said, "Oh, we're gonna grant her tenure," I wanted her to say, and she did. I was hoping because I was like, I hope she doesn't take that. I hope she doesn't. I hope she doesn't. I hope she said, you know what? F y'all and your tenure. Did because I was like, after that very public, because part of racism is humiliation. It doesn't work unless you are humiliated. That's how it works. Because it goes back to I'm gonna keep niggas in their place. That's what that is. I'm gonna keep niggas in their place. Don't get high and mighty. We tell you, you don't tell us. You know, I don't care if you are a MacArthur Fellow or whoever, and we don't care. You're a nigga to us, and niggas need to know their place. That's what they were essentially saying. I don't care. People can argue this point all they want. That at the end of the day, when you break it down to this lowest common denominator, that's what they were saying. And they said it. Yeah. So, yeah. Yes. So, yes. Yep. But that's what they were saying. And she was like, I don't got time, Satan. Not today. Not today. So I was very pleased to see that. And if I had it, everybody, I'm telling you, if I ever get my hands on some millions, I will funnel so much money to HBCUs, and I will funnel so many children from this city to HBCUs, your head would spin. Swear to God. I would take that New Haven's I would do an offshoot of New Haven's Promise, and I'd be like the HBC pipeline, the road to telling we rising. That's what it is. Telling we rising. That's it. That's what I would call it. If I win millions of dollars, I'm telling you, telling we rising will become my scholarship fund. And I will send as many kids to HBCUs on full ride scholarships as I can. And not only full ride scholarships, but I will have them study abroad everywhere. They will start at the continent and work their way to Europe. And they would, every kid that gets a Telling We Rising scholarship, this is my dream. I'm telling you, that's what I would do. I don't need a fancy car. I damn sure don't need a fancy house. I would spend that money that way. That's what I would do. I'm kidding you. Go buy a lottery ticket today so I can be ready. so I can be ready. That is my dream. Telling We Rising. That's what I would do. Swear to God. And I don't know. I don't need nobody to tell me nothing. I don't want to hear it. Every dollar. If any kid that want to go to HBCU, because there's a kid now who is trying to get to Morehouse. I'm gonna have him on shortly. Trying to get to more. He needs to raise $35,000. And it just pains me. It pains me that I don't have it to give to him, right? I mean, I couldn't even pay for my own kids at my daughter's college education, and it just, that just troubles me to no end that I couldn't do it, because these black schools are they're not expensive, but if you don't have any money, they're hard to pay for. They don't have scholarship money the way private white institutions do. They don't. So, you know, we've got to be really energized about sending our babies to our schools. We just got to get back to energized because there was a time when that's all we did was raise money. I mean, the UNCF was all about that, to raise money. So I'm glad that they're taking it. You know what? Go where you are wanted. Go where you are supported. And you know what? Tell Cornel West to take his butt back to Howard. Go. Take all the great thinkers. Take yourselves to these HBCUs. Y'all don't need the money no more. You don't need the money, and you can create all kinds of wonderful things at HBCUs. Because these white folks don't want you at their schools. I get it. Should be going to their schools if they give us enough money, but I feel some kind of way about it. So anyway, so high five, Hannah and Tanisi. High five. I just love that. So my other T, y'all know Tabitha Brown. I love her. She's just, she's just everything that I like about assured women. No. So apparently that miserable, miserable, miserable Wendy Williams came for her on her show and tried to kick her like she didn't know who Tabitha Brown was because Tabitha Brown retired her husband. He's a police officer, but she retired him because of their success. He was like, so that he could spend the rest of his life working on the things that he really wanted to work on. They have a foundation. He's a coach. There's all these things, and so Wendy Williams said something about, oh, don't do that. I did that. Don't give men money. Don't give your husband money. That's just the way he's going to leave you. Blah, 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 blah. Just all this negative. Like, girl, I want to say, Wendy, your husband was trash when he wasn't your husband. He was trash when you was just dating him. he, he was no paragon of decency when you was dating him. Anyway, Miss Brown clapped back in the most beautiful Christian, what you would imagine a Christian woman would be. She just told that woman, I hope you find the love. I hope love finds you. I hope that somebody sacrifices for you. I mean, it's just if you haven't seen it, it's all on social media. It's beautiful, and she and the way that she talks in that soft voice uh, was amazing. I mean, it's a message for anybody. You can get this message to anybody. And then she followed it up yesterday with talking about, when they come for you, praise God, because that means God has entrusted you with something that people want to destroy. Like, go ahead, girl. And she's like, ask, and she said to the person who started this firestorm, ask yourself, why are you triggered by happiness? Why are you triggered by when you see somebody someone else's happiness? Why are you triggered by that? And sit with that. I was like, baby, and that got me thinking. She's right. She's right. I've just recently witnessed that. I was with my friend Ife at the Arts and Ideas Festival, and Ife is a very joyous person, and we both were dancers in our youth, but she keeps it going. And she loves music. She loves live music. And she just got to jump in there was a little music going on, and she was just feeling it. And I saw a particular person just angry and annoyed at Ife's happiness and joy. I saw it. And there was no reason for it, right? There was no reason for it. And I thought to myself, man, somebody else's happiness is causing you unhappiness. You need to listen. You need to check yourself. I'm not gonna call her name, but she's a sister we all know in my town. So you people in Dubai, y'all don't know her. All my fans in Dubai, Australia, and all the other points far away, outside of New Haven, y'all don't know. And I thought to myself, baby, I never want to be that person. I never want to be annoyed at somebody else's joy or happiness. Their genuine joy and happiness, not that superficial, like not that stupid stuff that these rappers do. I'm not that. But there's nobody that I dislike so much that their joy causes me anxiety. Life is so short, so precious. We don't have a whole lot of time. And let me tell you something before we go to before we shut down for the second part of the show. Listen, if you have to spend your time annoyed by somebody else's joy and happiness, you need to do some soul searching. Get to the bottom of your well and climb up, because that's not how you want to live, baby. You don't want to be annoyed by somebody else's happiness, because that blocks your blessings. When you are so hateful about somebody else's success or whatever, you're blocking your own blessings. And I know this true. And you don't got to be Oprah to understand that. You can be your own Oprah to understand that what you speak into existence manifests. What you put into the universe comes back to you. So if you put out there unhappiness and all this other kind of stuff, it's gonna come back to you, baby. It's gonna come back to you. And if you cannot find and you know, if you cannot be joyous about other people's joy, or at least shut up about other people's joy, then you are a terrible human. I'm just gonna call it a terrible human. I want to see people rise. I want to see people win. All I want to do is see people win, because we've been losing. We've lost so much. Everybody in their own lives have lost something, someone, something. I don't want to see people losing. That's a pain. I know what it is to lose. God knows. I know what it means to lose everything in a very public way. It is. I know what it is to just be in the paper and have your name, and then to be so ashamed that you go into exile for years, and then you just rise, and you get some inner strength. But allow people their joy and celebrate. When you see joy, that should give you joy. When you see happiness, that should make you happy. Just saying. All right. So high five, Tabitha Brown. You have inspired me. You have inspired me. And I never get tired of those words that she said, that she put out there. And it wasn't mean, it wasn't shady, it wasn't disrespectful, it wasn't any of that. It was literally beautiful and kind and generous and compassionate and empathetic. It was beautiful. And if you have a mind to go see it, listen to it, do it, because her stuff is out there. She puts it out there, and to watch her celebrate her husband's retirement at the party that they had, I felt like I was there. And then they had E.T. the hip hop preacher come, because that's who her husband Chance listens to over the years, that inspires him. And she had him come. It brought tears to my eyes. I was so moved, because that's what love is. Love extends. Saying. So yeah. So I talked about a lot of things. So anyway, station identification. We take a music break, and we'll be back with Monty Frank to talk about ranked choice voting in New York.
This is Harry Droz, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven.